For years, Buffy Waldie has been a great partner to FEMA Region 6 and its youth preparedness program, community preparedness program. She's helped us build a roadmap for other programs that are based on the Mart High School Teen CERT program she runs. She's been generous in helping us work with other folks, and she's done great things there for both the school and the community and the youth she works with. It's a pleasure to talk to her today, particularly in light of Mart High School Teen CERT recently winning the 2020 Region 6 Youth Preparedness Award.
I'm Bill Bischoff, FEMA Region 6 Community Preparedness Officer. This is the hashtag R6 Prepared podcast. We shine the light on community preparedness across Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, New Mexico, and Texas, and the 68 tribal nations within. We hope you enjoy the show.
Buffy Waldie, welcome to the hashtag R6 Preparers podcast. And we're so pleased to have you on, particularly in light of the fact that we are able to congratulate you for winning, you and Mart High School Teen CERT for winning the 2020 Youth Preparedness Award in the R6 Community Preparedness Award. So welcome and congratulations.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here.
Well, good. And as you and I explained before the break, at any time we might hear dogs, children, cats wanting to speak up during this episode. We are in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic, so we're talking from not FEMA Region 6 as we typically would, but from satellite offices called home offices for sure.
That is exactly right.
Yes. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to ask you, what is the Mart High School Teen CERT, and what do you do?
The Mart High School Teen CERT is not your typical CERT program, because it's geared towards teens, but we live in a small community with no EMS and a volunteer fire department. We're very rural. So our students they don't just follow the CERT curriculum, but we add in the basic EMT National Registry curriculum. So they get all that on top of the CERT curriculum. And we also have the volunteer fire department come in and give them fire training and bunker gear training and how to work a pump truck and things like that.
God, what could they not do coming out of that training? So they're getting the EMT training, they're getting the fire training. Now, your background, I know you to be a Spanish teacher who some years back turned me on to Duolingo.
Yeah.
So I'm coming along with my pidgin Spanish. But don't you also have EMT either in your background or in the family?
Yes, I've been teaching 21 years, and I've had my EMS CERT for about 15 of those.
Okay. So you feel versed in that. Excellent.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it was when I first got certified, I just jumped right into EMS, and I loved it. So I did that for a long time on top of teaching.
So jumping back, though, all this training, how many kids are in your classes typically?
It just depends. Our curriculum is open to 10th, 11th, and 12th graders simply because of the maturity level, and they need their own transportation. So usually by the time they're sophomores and we start ambulance ride-outs, because they do that, they're able to drive themselves. So typical age is about 16 to 17 usually, and our classes have been anywhere from 15 to 6. It just kind of depends on who signs up, if they're eligible to sign up, and if it fits in their schedule. Since we're so small, I have a lot of people who take CERT, but they get the CERT stuff on the side.
Right.
But we actually have a class every day of CERT. It is an actual class they get credit for.
And you've got in that class typically somewhere around 15 to 20 or something
yeah, but
like
15
that.
to 12, I've had anywhere from about 15. This year I had 6 and we lost one. She ended up withdrawing. So right now we have 5, but in my actual class, but on campus at one time we have about 15 or 16 that have been CERT trained.
And it is not as though that is a huge student body. How many people are in the great Texas metropolis of Mart, particularly Mart High School? How many are there?
Mart is the town is a population of 2,200. From 7th grade to 12th grade, we have about 200 students, and that's it.
Goodness gracious!
So we have about 20 students. I mean, that's a good chunk.
That is a good chunk. Well, and if you consider you've been doing this, since 2013, it seems like, looking at the application that came in?
Yeah, 2012, 2013.
Mm-hmm. So over the years, what's all the training, all the EMT training, all the CERT training, all the fire training, everything that leads to your students being very, very prepared, what does that prepare them to do? Because, it seems as though in a small town with limited resources, they're going to come in very handy.
Anyway, it makes them eligible to volunteer with the fire department once they're senior, age 18. And they're also able to enroll through McLennan Community College into a dual credit program where they can graduate high school with their EMT. All they have to do is walk the stage and take their national registry test.
Good.
And then it's really neat. And then most of our students that are in my class end up going on to do something like nursing or med school or that kind of thing. They kind of have a medical interest.
That's a common theme I've heard in Teen CERT and in our youth preparedness councils over the last few years, that those who get the exposure to medical training or fire training, EMT training, they tend to just see their path and follow it from there on. Are you saying you're getting, what do you think, another 20% that are leaving your class and going that route?
Yeah, I have a lot of CERT. They're grown now, but they're on my Facebook and they were in CERT and they did all these things and they're nurses. Right now they're working with COVID patients, and it all started when they were juniors in high school, and it gives them that, because they do ambulance write-outs and all that training. It gives them a chance to go, yes, I definitely want to do this, or realize, no, this is not for me. And it's better to learn it at a younger age.
Oh, yeah.
And gives them a direction where to go.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic. Well, even in school, they're helping their classmates. They're helping faculty. What do they do in the school?
Well, because we don't, we have one school nurse, and that's for K through 12. And she is currently out on leave. She's fighting cancer. So our students have kind of stepped up, and when there's a medical emergency, they're the ones who handle it, unless it's something truly severe. They've done seizures, they've done bandaging, splinting, patient assessment, and all the stuff that comes with the CERT curriculum and the EMT curriculum. They take blood pressures of staff, and they're able to, give recommendations and say, you really need to probably see a doctor. Or I have a couple of them come to me and say, look, I think something's wrong, and they're right.
Yeah. How's that go? Do you have to go reinforce what they've already said? I do think you need to go see someone about this.
Usually not. I mean, I'm really impressed with our staff. If they don't know something like that, they will pull one of my CERT kids aside and ask them.
Gosh, what a resource.
Really cool. And when these kids that you teach can tell you, no, this is what it needs to be, or this is what you need to do. And the staff really looks to them to do that because they've seen them do things and handle it. And it's
not a new program. That's right.
It is not a new program. And now that they know, and they've been involved in all the school staff, and they do the blood drives and wellness checks and things like that, the staff is great about it. they don't bat an eyelash.
Well, now moving from the school, how do they fit into the city? Because I believe, again, you're talking about a city with limited resources, or I don't know. Isn't a city? Seems like it's a town.
Yeah, it's a town. It's 2,200 people. There's a volunteer fire department. Of course, your city council and all that. It's all volunteer. And we are written into the emergency management plan. And we work with the police department and the fire department on what to do in events in towns and things like that. And we're a lot of times like backup medical or community programs like National Night Out.
Right.
And we help with the community when they have their Easter functions and 4th of July functions and things like that. My students are usually there for that.
It seems like, again, you are not unfamiliar to us at Region 6. Going back, I know that you were honorable mention in the National Individual and Community Preparedness Awards some years back, and then followed it up the following year when Mart High School Teen CERT won, and you represented in Washington, D.C. at a austere ceremony there. So we're very familiar. You've been on our radar for years, and it seems like there's a couple of real life experiences that where y'all been asked to help out in the community. What have those been?
Well, a couple of years ago, the city of Marlin, which is in Falls County, about 20 minutes from Mart, had a water crisis. There was absolutely no water in the town. The complete water plant completely shut down. So there was no restaurants open. There were no businesses open, no schools open. You couldn't take a bath, wash your clothes, flush a toilet. There was none of that.
Mm.
So my students went and assisted the city in passing out water to people. They did a lot of the just comforting people because they've been so long without something you just take for granted and you don't realize what life would be like now without it.
which we're kind of right in the middle of right now, aren't we?
Yeah, and right now, and I think some of that's probably prepared them for what's going on with COVID.
Right.
They were able to be there. I can't remember exactly, but we spent, I think, a total of 286 volunteer hours with them.
Goodness. It seems like I remember the Marlin mayor having some good things to say about your team. So, yes.
Yeah, they let us sit in city council meetings and meet the mayor. And
very, very valuable. And even on the unexpected sort of thing that happens around town, wasn't there a car accident that happened that your team was able to help out with?
Yes, we were working for doing the September Preparathon, and my class was out there passing out brochures and talking to people, and there was a car accident right in front of us, and my students jumped up, went over there, and handled the situation until the fire department got there, and because of where we're located, it's about 20 minutes minimum for an ambulance, so my students were able to handle that situation with the fire department until the ambulance could actually arrive.
Fantastic. And hence being written into the city's emergency plan. I mean, that's just
exactly.
Talk to me about lockdown. Didn't you have a lockdown exercise a little while back?
Yes, we did a safety week, and now there's a new House bill that requires schools to have certain drills and procedures in place and practice those every year. So we did all of ours at once and promoted See Something, Say Something, and had a See Something, Say Something campaign, and had the police come and talk to students, and we had a big assembly and lockdown, lockout, all kinds of trainings for them, all led by our students. I didn't really have to do much other than sit back and let them handle it.
Excellent. And now you look for lockdown and go, gosh, now we're on lockout.
Yes, we're on lockout right now.
Yeah. So how do you deal with that now that everybody's away from school? How do you connect?
What we've been doing is we have a group chat, and we communicate through our group chat, Zoom meetings, and right now they're working on a big project, an ICS project where they have to plan a trip to Chernobyl, and they're working on that, and it's requiring them, even though we're all apart, to work together. So they have to have their own Zoom meetings, and they have to have their own group chat, and they working documents and things that they can all get on and do their part. So they're still getting that ICS training, and that's what we've been working on.
Very good, very good. Success stories as far as just who's come out of your program and moved forward. What does it look like for those that have gone ahead? Now, you kind of mentioned it earlier that several have moved into the EMT and nurse arenas. How does that look for everybody?
Most of my students tend to go off to college, and they tend to get their medical degree, I say degree, but certifications, things like nursing or physical therapy. Some of them do the EMT. I've had a couple actually go into the fire department. Some go on to get their paramedic and kind of stay with that career choice.
Super. Well, let me ask you this. You've been, as I mentioned earlier, an example and a resource for us, because we have, when we've had schools from across Region 6 who have said, we're interested in starting a Team CERT program. Well, you're one of the people we immediately try to connect folks with, so they'll know what a successful program feels like, looks like, and can do. What do you have any suggestions for schools that are interested in starting Team CERT programs?
Schools that are interested in having a CERT program need to have it as a class, as an elective built into everybody's schedule where you meet every day. That way it's not interfering, especially in your small schools, that way it's not interfering with all the extracurricular stuff that small town students tend to do. Your football, cheerleading, baseball, soccer, all that stuff. And if you have it as class, you can adjust your pace as you need it, focus on what everybody might be struggling with, and then add your own stuff to it that allows you to mold your CERT program into one that benefits your school and your community the most.
That is interesting you say that, because one of our past guests on the hashtag R6 Prepares podcast was Gary Reagan out of Arkansas, whom you've met and who you served with him on the Region 6 Youth Preparedness Council.
Mm-hmm.
And one of his concerns, as he's done so well with youth preparedness councils, is that it depends upon who's sponsoring it and how long they're going to be there. And if they move, then that council may or may not continue. And I believe what you just said really cements what he's saying, that it needs to be in a school program. And
it needs to be.
Yeah, go ahead.
It needs to be part of the curriculum. And, I mean, you can offer it for local credit. That is acceptable. And, you know, you have to have an instructor that is 100% fully vested in it, because it is a big undertaking, but it is so absolutely worth it.
It is very, very obviously, because we're able to spot it all the way from Region 6, which is a bit of a drive. But I would also say not only does it have the great support from the instructor, but it seems to have great support from the school. I know when we came to congratulate you a few years ago for your past wins, that the superintendent, the school board were very supportive, and that seems to be a big thing.
Well, you know, it kind of trickles down. If your school board is on board and your administration is on board, your students are going to be on board. And it takes, you know, that phrase, it takes a village. But we have so much support that it really kind of solidifies our program, and they're all invested in it. And so much so that they actually hired us to work football games and be medical staff there. And that boils down to the school board and the administration taking ownership of it and saying, yes, we want this. Yes, we want our students involved. Yes, we want our community to see this. And we want our kids out in the community. And when you do that, it gives the youth nowadays a chance to volunteer, which, is so hard to get people to do anymore. So it instills that sense of volunteerism in them that hopefully they can take with them into adulthood.
Excellent.
Buffy and Mart High School Teen CERT's work doesn't just stop at the edge of Mart or Texas or even the United States. It's gone international.
I was contacted by an emergency administrator from England, and he won an award very similar to the one we did, where it was done, where he was able to go all over Europe and the States to look at emergency management plans and how people did things, best practices. And he emailed me asking if he could come to Mart to see how we do things, because they were wanting to start a CERT program or something similar to that there in England. There wasn't anything, and I was like, absolutely. So he came and he met with my CERT class, and he is a huge fan of football. So he'd never gotten to see it. So we took him to a Mart High School football game, and he got to see all the splendor and the glory of small town football. And he got to meet everybody, and we kind of explained to him what we did and gave him a copy of the curriculum I used. And he has taken that back, and they have started a program like that where he is in England, and sent me pictures, and it's awesome.
That is just fantastic, because I already know about the great work you do and how it's shared with other states and even other regions. But this is particularly wonderful to hear about it moving across the big ocean.
It was awesome. I mean, and when he came and he's talking, he's got that wonderful accent. And everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing ever!" And it was. But
he's in England right now, going, and it was so awesome. I was talking to Buffy; she had the greatest accent.
Oh my gosh, I tried not to sound so Texan, and but he was great. And I mean, my CERT students just loved him. And I mean, they're a couple of them are cheerleaders and stuff, so when they're not cheering, they would come up and talk to him, and he got to meet everybody. And he's absolutely, he's pretty impressed with the small town life and Texas football, and it was really neat to see.
Texas pride.
Yeah,
well, we're very proud of you too. Yes.
Yeah, he's a big fan of the show Friday Night Lights. So he went to where they filmed that, and he was super excited, and he'd never seen a high school football game. So he came, and he has plans to come in October to come to homecoming this year.
Goodness gracious, that is fantastic.
Yeah, so he'll be visiting with us and spending time with my CERT class and taking in the festivities.
Buffy and Mart CERT making things happen.
Yes, that's us.
Well, super. What is next for Mart High School Teen CERT?
Well, it's kind of up in the air right now with COVID. We are scheduled to. We're out of course, statewide. We're out of school, but they have technically finished the CERT curriculum, and so they're working on their ICS project, which we normally would do in person. In the fall, if and when we start back, I will have a new set of students that are in class with me every day, and the students that take CERT this year will act as mentors to the others, and they will come in, help instruct classes, do scenarios with them, and they're still a part of the team, so they'll be involved in a lot of the things that we do, and it helps keep their skills up too.
Yeah, you've turned it into youth leading youth. That's fantastic.
It's youth leading youth. I mean, a lot of this, and it teaches them how to work with others and kind of mentor other people. And the next year I should have, a lot of mine are graduating this year. So I will have a pretty decent size coming up next year of people who've already been trained. And with the new ones, we should have a pretty solid group that is going to be able to take on the roles and responsibilities needed to them.
Buffy, it continues. I know it seems a little bit dark out there right now with the pandemic going on. When I hear coming out of Mart, your program, just fantastic, and it brightens my day and it brightens my outlook for the future for our region, knowing that y'all are part of it and what you've done for us in the region, what you've done for your local community, your school. All of that, we're very grateful for it, and thank you for serving as the example. Congratulations for winning the 2020 Youth Preparedness Award and in the Region 6 Community Preparedness Working Group Awards, and we look forward to celebrating that with you as soon as we get the chance to do so.
All right, I'm excited about that.
All right, well, thank you very much, and we will talk soon.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you for listening to the hashtag R6 Prepares podcast. If you have a moment, please consider liking it and subscribing to it. And in the meantime, we'd like to thank Leland Baker for production and our leadership, Shirley Fox, Lisa Hammond, Amy Michelle, and Tony Robinson, and FEMA Region 6 for their support.